This comment says, alright, explain to me what is wrong with the law during that time of the earth. Sure. So, the law being referred to comes from Deuteronomy 22:13 through 21. And it says, suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, he dislikes her and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. Now, the evidence being referred to is going to come from a cloth or a sheet that was placed down beneath the couple when they consummated their marriage, did the deed. And if they found that there was blood on the sheet or the cloth, then they would use that as evidence of the woman's virginity. And likewise, if there was no blood found, they would use that as evidence that she was not a virgin. Let's keep reading. The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. The father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders of the town shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. So let's recap real quick. A man can bring this evidence up to the elders of the city, the bloody sheet, on whether this woman is a virgin or not. Once again, I'll reiterate evidence. I'll get to that part in a minute. Bring him up to the elders, and if the man is caught lying, he has to pay 100 shekels of silver to the young woman's father. And what else happens? Well, she shall remain his wife, and he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. So when this man is caught lying, he has to pay a fine, and she has to stay his wife. Let's keep reading. If, however, this charge is true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So you shall purge the evil out of your midst. Now, I will explain to you exactly what's wrong with this law, whether it's during this time on the earth, or today, or 1,000 years prior to that, or 1,000 years from now. It doesn't matter. This will always be wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why. So, when I say evidence, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, or if anyone even watching this is aware, but just over 40% of women actually bleed their first time doing the deed. And so what does this mean exactly? This means that half of these women being stoned were innocent. Point number 2, she has to be stoned to death for lying. Or lying. But the man, he's only getting a fine? And then she has to stay married to him anyways? So all in all, what's exactly wrong with this is that it's barbaric, first of all. It's unjust. And just reading this, and honestly this whole chapter, you just see stuff that you just wouldn't expect coming, like these laws coming from a just God or a loving God. That's what's wrong with it.
Shalom Yasharallah, it's your brother Darash Shamat, and I'm back with another lesson. Before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem B'Kakodash. I want to say double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone for bringing out this truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect, which includes 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there, including those Israelites who may look like the other nations but are not. This is not a black thing. Shalom. This one goes out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. So y'all just saw this video. This guy going off. I saw it earlier and I just had to make a video about it because the audacity of some of these people, the way they speak about the words of the Most High and the disrespect and the pride that they have when they're speaking, thinking that they know better than the Creator. It's quite insanity. So I'm gonna title this one "Another Weak Individual Hurt by the Laws of Yahawah." Okay, so he had a problem with the way Yahawah does things, like most of you non-believers. Okay, because this chapter, Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, upsets a lot of people when they read it. It's a major stumbling block. Okay, all right. They got crimes and they got punishment to the crimes. Okay, but y'all got a problem with that. How things set up. Okay, y'all don't have no understanding. Y'all think the ways of this world and how things work, that's how things are supposed to be. This world is fucked up. Like, just look at the world. Like, it's crumbling all around us. And you think that the way that things are done, okay, judgment is slack in this world. Okay? Y'all think that the way things are done is correct. No, it's not. If things were done according to the scriptures, this world would actually be a paradise. But in actuality, it's getting destroyed by Esau Edom and his wicked ass philosophies. Along with these other heathens, they got their philosophies too, but it's moving under the vibration of Esau Edom. Okay? He running stuff, the bases of men. All right? So he basically, you heard him talk. He talked about the hymen and how he was saying 40% of people don't bleed on their first accounts. I mean, with intercourse, talking about women who are supposedly virgins. I wonder if he ever looked at those studies and see how those studies are done. So in research, there's something called recall bias, okay? Which means that the researcher isn't there studying these women while they're getting penetrated, okay? They're asking them later, like, hey, did this happen during that time? And the thing about recall bias is people don't have perfectly good memories, okay? Maybe they were so enthralled in the act that they don't remember, okay? Maybe the person that they was doing it with didn't have a big enough, piece to actually break the hymen. Or maybe their hymen was already broken because, they was doing something else. Like, they got toys nowadays. They done stuck their fingers or something else up in there. Or they could have been, horseback riding or cycling or, doing, something that could have torn it because it's a thin membrane, okay? Now, there's some research on it saying that it's really flexible and it doesn't always break with intercourse and stuff like this. All kind of different things, Like, there's always some type of, exception or whatever. There's a very rare chance that a woman could be born without a hymen. All of these different things, okay? Are we talking about in general here with the scriptures? All right? And this was for the Israelites. This law, it wasn't given to all these heathens, okay? It was given to the Israelites for them to follow. And Israelite men, especially back in the day, they were larger back then, okay? They were greater in stature, okay? And they had them Pringles cans back then. Their hymen was getting broke, okay? But anyway, let's jump into it. So I'm just going to read through. This is Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter and the 13th verse. And it says, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. So what he's saying is, okay, I married this daughter, this woman, this Israelite woman who was supposed to be a virgin, and then, we did the deed, and then she didn't bleed, okay? So she was, playing the whore, all right? So that's a problem. Okay, so this needs to be rectified. All right, so he's bringing it to attention. All right, he's like, I don't like this woman, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and so this was set up to protect the woman and to protect the man too. All right, so to protect the woman because if he lies on her, and protect the man because, hey, I just, got with this woman and then I'm not getting what I paid for. All right. This is verse 15. Deuteronomy 22:15. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. Okay, so the woman was supposed to be a virgin. Okay, they would lay this cloth down on the marital bed when they would go in and do the deed. Okay, the woman, when her hymen was broken, she would bleed onto the cloth. Okay, and that signified, loss of her virginity. That signified that she was a virgin. Okay, that's what that signified. Okay, and it was kept as a token by the father. Okay, as proof. All right, in case these accusations were brought up against his daughter, because adultery, was a sin unto death. All right. And so that was, something that was very important. Okay. So, verse 17, and lo, he had given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. Okay. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Okay. So he's like, I got proof. Okay. And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver. That's a lot of money. 100 shekels of silver. Okay. And give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days. Okay. And so that would be the man's punishment, if he lied. Okay. And the guy in the video was upset about that, because he was just like, well, how come if the woman gets punished, it's to death, but if the man gets punished, it's to, he just has to marry her, and stay with her for all of his life. Well, it's different. It's two different things. One is lying, bearing false witness, which you shouldn't do. It's wrong. It's a sin, but it's not a sin unto death. But guess what? Committing adultery is a sin unto death. Okay? Because if you sleep with one man, guess what? You married to that man. And then if you go and try to get married to another man, you commit an adultery. And so that's a sin worthy of death. All right? And so if the woman did this knowing what she did, okay, she committed adultery. All right? So that's the difference. But he didn't get that because he don't understand the scriptures. All right? Let's see. Where was I? That was verse 19. This is verse 20. But if this thing be true and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of the father's house. And the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house, so that thou put away evil from among you. And this is what he really had a problem with, though. Okay? Because he liked this, this wicked-ass society that we lives in right now, where women could just, hop on the carousel, and ride it. All right? And it's a sad state when men, they just don't want to stand up. They're so, stuck in this wicked, feminized society. Okay? So this was, a just punishment for the crime. Because you see what happens if the Israelites didn't have these laws, statutes, and commandments set up, they would have just done all kind of things like the heathen. Okay? Like now. Okay? Women are allowed, to ride the carousel. And look, everybody's doing it. Our women are, whores in this society. And it's only getting worse. Okay? Prostitution is like mainstream now. Okay? Like with OnlyFans and stuff like that. All right? But the Israelite women, they were never supposed to be that. Okay? But we didn't want to listen to Yahawah, so we got exiled, scattered amongst the heathen, and so here we are living this miserable ass life. Okay? It's not what it's supposed to. That's not, it's not the way to live. But we're going to take it a few more precepts. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 23rd chapter, in the 17th verse. And it says, there shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Okay? That's a commandment. Israelite women aren't supposed to be whores. Israelite men aren't supposed to be sodomites. So all that baddie boy stuff, that's worthy of death too. All right? This is crucial to have an upright society. You can't have, the alphabet soup stuff going on, having an upstanding society. No. Okay, you can't have women just, hopping from, pole to pole. Like, no. That ain't right. All right? That's just going to mess up everything. And that's what's happening. Okay? And these are crimes. All right? And these are the judgments for these crimes. And this one individual feels like the Heavenly Father, is unjust. And that's totally incorrect. Because the Heavenly Father is just. Okay? He is the righteous judge. All right? He doesn't do wrong. Okay? But people don't get that. They think that their way is the right way, leaning to their own understanding when they have no understanding. Okay? So imagine a man trying to put away a woman, that, didn't do wrong. And then when they catch a man, they'll be like, okay, you got to pay this money and you got to take care of her for her whole life and stay married to her. Okay? That's a big responsibility, staying married to a woman that you don't want to be with, that you don't like. Okay? And he couldn't put her away. That's tough. And that was the punishment. Okay? But it wasn't a sin unto death, like adultery. Now let's go to Leviticus. Let's see, Leviticus chapter 20, and verse 10. And it says, and the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. So, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, okay? Adultery is a sin unto death, all right? Now, if that law was actually pushed in this society, it would be better than what it is. But the way things are going right now, this place, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's not even, it's almost impossible to actually have like a true biblical marriage. Okay? Because we've all come up in this world. And so technically we're all adulterous. And if it wasn't for the grace of Yahawah Shem Yahushai, we'd be done. Verse 11, and the man that lied with his father's wife had uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Okay? So that would be adulterous too. All right? So adultery is a married woman sleeping with someone who's not her husband, or a man sleeping with a married woman, basically. Okay? So yeah, it's basically intercourse with a woman married to another man. That's it. That's adultery. Okay? And that's a sin, worthy of death. Like, think about it. Why is this such a big deal? Well, how can you, establish paternity? They didn't have DNA tests and stuff back then. All right? Yeah, the man could have multiple wives, but the woman is a possession. That's just for that man. All right? And whenever you go into her for the first time, break her hymen, you're forming a blood covenant with her. Okay? And so if she go out and sleep with somebody else, she is defiled. Okay? Like Jeremiah 3:1 say. All right? Let me get that real quick. Jeremiah 3:1. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers. Shall return again unto me, said Yahawah. Okay? So, once that woman goes out and deals with other men, she's defiled. Okay? Whether she's put away or if she goes out and does it on her own. Okay? So, nobody wants to be raising somebody else's child. Nobody else wants to have a defiled woman. But that's all we got in this society because, we under the curses, living amongst these heathen. This is Leviticus 21:9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaned her father. She shall be burnt with fire. So the priest, they would burn their daughters if they were caught playing the whore. Okay? So, I don't know, man. I would, man, knowing these laws, statutes, and commandments should have scared the people back then until, walking on that straight and narrow path. But guess what? People still was hard-headed and went out and did that thing because, the Israelites were stiff-necked people. And now, since the law is slack and there's no judgment for this wickedness, oh, man, these hoes running rampant out here, just doing whatever they want to do. All right, and that's the major problem with this society. And they look at the institution of marriage now. Look how it's falling apart. Women could just get divorced willy-nilly. Oh, I don't feel like he really loved me or some bullshit. All kind of stuff. Like, it's just crazy. Just so they could go be a hoe. That's it. Ride the carousel. Insanity. Right? That's why we need the kingdom. Okay? So, this man has a problem with the law of the Yahawah by Shem Yahushai. Well, I got some news for him. The law of Yahawah is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahawah is sure, making wise the simple. So, his law is perfect. There is no issue with the laws. The issue is with us humans who are not perfect. Okay? That's where the issue is at. All right, because the law is the way of life. But you have become accustomed to ways of death and think that's right. So you're supposed to come into this wise counsel and renew your mind, okay, and be changed and understand the ways of life. And one thing that needs to be understood about this, Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1, this is the book of the commandments of power, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So this just say this is a law that endureth forever, so it's going to always be there. So guess what? That dude, he kind of looks like he a heathen. He going to be forced to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments when he get in the kingdom. Okay? And if he mess up, he going to get the judgment for it. Okay? And the Israelite men are the one who going to be there that execute the judgment on him. So he might have that freedom to, mock and say all of this nonsense right now, but once you get in that kingdom, that's it. So live it up now, buddy, because once you get in that kingdom, it's on. Ain't going to be no, I don't agree with the Bible. I don't care what you agree with. Ain't gonna be no questions about how you feel about it. Nope. Judgment. Especially during the, what you call that? That 1,000 years when we got these heathens in captivity, because that's where they're going. That's exactly where they're going, because their mind got to be reset. Okay? No, they're not on the page of following Yahawah by Shem Yahushai, right? They want to lean to their own understanding. They brute beast. Okay? They don't get it. Now let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 42, and get our last precept. So this is Sirach 42:9. It says, the father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep when she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. Okay? And so, what did we just read? Okay? You don't want your daughter to be out there going from rod to rod, okay? Because we just read the judgment for that, okay? And so, the fathers, they had oversight, over their family, okay? And they kept a careful eye on their daughters, to make sure, she not sneaking out, she not doing this and that, all of that stuff. He was keeping them in line like he was supposed to do. That's what the men's supposed to do. But in this society, men aren't really allowed to do that, okay? Like, you can't really police, your daughters and keep them in like you want to, okay? Because no real man wants his daughter out there, riding a carousel. All right? But they got some simps out there and some weak men, who okay with that. But that's not the way things are supposed to be. Okay? It says the care for her taking away sleep. Okay? Like, that's a tough job, man. Taking away sleep, making sure. Like, I gotta make sure, man, because I already know. All right? I already know how these women are, man. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. All right? Let's go to verse 10. In her virginity, lest she should be defiled and gotten with child in her father's house, and having husband, lest she should misbehave herself, and when she is married, lest she should be barren. Okay? So, if she lose her virginity in her father's house and then go get married, we just read the punishment for that. Or if she go and she get a child in her father's house, come on now. Like, that's bad. Like, hold on. Who the husband? That's a problem. Okay, who gonna take care of you? Who gonna take care of this child? All right? Back then, that was a problem. Okay? They just said in Deuteronomy, okay, she got stoned for playing the whore in her father's house. All right? And then they're saying having a husband, so if she go and step out on a husband too, and then she end up being barren because of it. Okay? And now if she get discovered, okay, she go get that penalty. All right? Because adultery is a sin unto death. Verse 11. Okay? Keep a sure watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies. Okay? Like, you know how it is, okay? A man have a daughter who out there, then, the people who don't like him talking behind his back, like, ooh, his daughter out here busting it down, doing this and that. Like, man, that's a shame. All right? That's why you're supposed to keep a watch over a shameless daughter. All right? That's why a man's supposed to have authority and absolute rule in his house. Execute judgment and law how it's supposed to be. Unless you end up in this situation. A laughing stock to thy enemies, and a byword in the city, and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude. Okay? You can imagine how ashamed that man is before the multitude. He done given his daughter to marry this man, and now, guess what? She getting stoned on his doorstep. In front of his house, where he raised her, thinking that she was upright, following his rules, not playing the whore, but the whole time she was. That's sad. So, look, the scriptures, all right, it's for the Israelites, all right? And the Heavenly Father gave them laws, statutes, and commandments to follow. Okay? And these laws, statutes, and commandments, they were the way of life. They were supposed to make these people wise, okay? Wise in the eyes of all the nations around them. And they did when they followed them. But when they didn't, they got taken down. Now they're in this lower state. Okay? But the laws, they're perfect, as we read. It's us who is not perfect. Just because you don't understand the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father don't mean that there's something wrong with them. It means there's something wrong with you. That's what it means. And that's why a lot of you people out there got to be reset. Because, especially you 2/3 Israelites. Because, man, y'all just through, and there's no remedy besides resetting y'all. Okay? And so, bucking up against the laws, that's just going to make things worse on you when that time for judgment comes. Okay? Like, keep your mouth closed if you ain't got nothing good to say when it comes to dealing with Yahawah Shemi Al-Shai, his word and his prophets, his people. Don't say stuff foolish, man. Okay? All these words that you spewing out, you going to have to give an account for it. You going to have to answer for that, man. Like, this ain't a game. Y'all don't understand. This is serious. So, I hope this short lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kodash. Shalom, Nasharallah.